to you.
What do you think, Sean, for the introduction? The intro to your camera?
I think so, yep.
Okay.
So you both running?
Yep.
But he's the one that if we
I would say
Where's
for the
yours?
intro, his camera, otherwise this one.
okay,
Yep.
good to know.
There's no red light?
No red light. It's just on.
Where's the red light?
Right,
Put a
can you
red
turn up channel
sticker.
2 just a little bit? Channel 2's on the bottom left, yeah. Just a little bit on that one. There we go. Cool. And whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. I am sitting in my living room, which is so great. And if you were able to look out my window, the window of my dining room, you would see the Hoan Bridge. And that's what we're talking about today. An initiative called Light the Hoan. So I thought the first thing I should do is learn about the Hoan Bridge. And look who I'm with. Hi, John Gurda.
Hi, John McGivern. How are
Who
you?
else to talk to about the Hoan Bridge and the history of the Hoan Bridge and how it got here? Do you know this stuff, or should I call someone else?
No, I can do it, John.
Good,
I'd
thanks.
be glad to help you. It goes back to the freeway era when that was really kind of the main public works project in Milwaukee. The first freeway goes back to 1962, and it was really a very ambitiously planned system. And by the late 60s, they decided on something called the Park East Freeway that would have looped around just north of you here on Ogden and gone through Juneau Park, and then across the bay, and then down into Bayview and St. Francis and Cudahy. And by that time, people were having a little reluctance, kind of about the effect the freeways were having on Milwaukee, tearing down neighborhoods, and thousands of homes gone. So what happened was that there was resistance to the freeway on the east side because of Juneau Park. There was resistance on the south side because they were tearing down more than 500 houses if that had gone through. But no one lived on Jones Island, so they built the bridge. So they had this bridge with nothing on either side, and they finished that in 1974, and they called it the Bridge to Nowhere. It had no connections, you recall that?
I do.
And that lasted for 3 years, and people had ideas, a tourist promenade, another idea was a skateboard park, which was the biggest
Can you
skateboard
imagine?
park in the entire world.
Yeah.
And then finally, what they did after 3 years in 77, they just finished off the on-off ramps, and that gave us a connection with downtown and with Bayview. And people down there had kind of bristled at the idea that it was a bridge to nowhere. People lived down there, it's my neighborhood right across the bay from you, as well as in St. Francis and Cudahy. So finally, they finished those off in 77, so you had access between downtown and the South Shore. And all of a sudden, Bayview is 10 minutes from downtown, which had a huge impact on real estate values down there, and has ever since. So that's the bridge's story. It was in magnificent isolation for 3 years, just kind of hanging out there, and it became part of the larger kind of transportation web in Milwaukee. It's named for Daniel Webster Hoan, who was Milwaukee's mayor from 1916 to 1940, a socialist, and in my opinion, the best mayor Milwaukee ever had.
Is that right?
He turned Milwaukee from this kind of boss-ridden, corrupt, pretty much a mess, a cesspool, and made it one of the best governed cities in the entire country. So
Yeah.
he certainly was a landmark figure in city history in Milwaukee and elsewhere as well.
So the least they could have done is name a bridge after him. Come on.
Interesting, John. He was really deaf on lakefront development. He thought the lake belonged to the people.
Yeah.
And so much so that he did not like the War Memorial Center in '57. So he thought that was too much of an imposition on the lakefront. So naming this huge bridge on the lakefront for him was I'm not sure if he's spinning in his grave, but at least rotating slowly, in his grave.
You look back on that back in the 60s when they wanted to do that, and when they built that ended up at the Pick and Save, up on
That's
Ogden,
right, that's right.
and it would have kept going. It was the same time during that initiative that they wanted to extend UWM, and I remember my parents were so against this freeway, and also against the extending UWM from Kramer all the way to the river. So they wanted to tear down our house and all the houses in our neighborhood. And my father, I remember my Democratic union organizing father saying, "What are they doing to my city here?" And they were tearing it up is what they were doing.
And for a long time after the war, people were fine with that, progress. There's gridlock in the streets, there's build the freeways, this is all progress. By the mid-'60s, everything else is happening then as well. People say, wait a minute, we're going too far, too fast here. So that was, and I think it was to the city's benefit, that those things would slow down and were not done. In the meantime, the Park East up here, And he wiped out a block-wide swath of houses and businesses and movie theaters, the Leighton School of Art, all that stuff went down. So a lot of losses there as well.
So we have a Hoan Bridge that we
We have a
can
Hoan
see
Bridge.
outside my window in downtown Milwaukee.
Alright.
And they've got this initiative going. And, you know, I always talk about where I've lived before. You know, I was born and raised here in Milwaukee, and then I moved away. And I lived in Chicago, and I lived in Tampa, and I lived in San Francisco. And I lived in all of these cities that I look back now and I realize that that Hoan Bridge that now needs lights, I really believe that this initiative is really, really important because it speaks to the life and the vibrancy of a city. You look at Tampa, they had an initiative to light 13 of their bridges that cross all over up and down downtown Tampa. And what it does is it brings people down. It really improves nightlife in a city. And the fact that this has not been lit, it's kind of amazing to me that this is now in 2019 that we're talking about lighting this bridge. Why have we waited so long?
Good ideas take time, and I think it's more kind of a current fashion. The one I'm familiar with is the Bay Bridge out in San Francisco.
Sure.
Which is
From Oakland to San Francisco.
It's
Yeah.
hypnotic. You know,
Yeah.
you sit there and watch this thing, and it's just this kinetic light display.
Yeah.
So you have, I think what it amounts to is kind of this blank canvas down here on the Hoan Bridge. And even though it was kind of born in controversy, it's a pretty iconic structure and quite graceful. And kind of this big arch over
Yeah.
the lakefront. So it really has become kind of a Milwaukee landmark. So I think it's entirely fitting to light it. And not just because it becomes public sculpture, but because there's a message there. You know, it's talking about lighting the Hoan as kind of a symbol of the lighting of the city as a whole, dedications of the bulbs. The website that shows dedications, people are remembering loved ones who passed on, they're giving shout outs to friends, they're talking about random acts of kindness.
Right.
You know, so kind of it illuminates the positive. And I
Right.
think that's really important.
And on an individual basis.
Absolutely.
It's like I can go on right now and get a bulb for the memory of someone, or, like, I think it's a really great way to do it. We also, they need a larger initiative as well, as far as people saying, my business wants to give.
Sure.
That we are a corporation that's based in Milwaukee, we should give. I'm surprised that the whole city isn't incredibly behind this.
I think it's moving, the momentum is building.
Yeah.
I bought mine, you know, kind of my row of 5.
Yeah.
I dedicated mine to the memory of Frank Zeidler, who was Milwaukee's mayor from 1948 to 1960, another socialist, and someone who was probably as close a definition to the great citizen as anybody who's ever lived here. You know, someone, politics, you know, that was certainly part of it, but he loved Milwaukee and kind of lived to serve it. So that is something that I think we all take as an example.
I have a niece who lives in Chicago, and we were at Easter Sunday brunch at my niece's place, my other niece who lives downtown Milwaukee, and we were talking about this initiative. And she's lived in Chicago since 2016, and in 2017, there was a woman named Tracy Deere who designed 11 LED bridges that lit up over the Chicago River. And my niece says to this day, it's the most beautiful thing that you see. You see a night shot of downtown Chicago, and you see all of those bridges. So my hope, this is my hope. My hope is that the Hoan gets lit, and that we can go right down from St. Paul to Clybourne to Michigan to Wisconsin to all of those bridges that cross that river. Can you imagine that
That'd be
view
fun.
of what downtown Milwaukee would be?
And make those kind of sequential, have this wave down the river. But let's start with the Hoan, and it's
Yes.
bigger than anything in Chicago. So this really got to
Sure is.
be a landmark project nationally and globally.
Yeah.
That's a large-scale canvas to work with.
So what do we need to do? What do people need to do to get on board with this?
I think go to the website, Light the Hoan,
Yep.
and they make it very easy to give. You can buy individual bulbs, dedicate them as you wish, and buy as many as you want. So buy early and often. Well, there are plenty of opportunities here. And I think it'll be a great testament to things that we hold dear, but also kind of a testament to the future as well, a vision for the future as well.
It's important, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm John McGivern. That's John Gurda. We're around my living room today, and we're talking about lighting the Hoan. Lightthehoan.com. Get involved.
Sign up.
Perfect.